What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Bridging the Geekdoms. I am your host, Robert Slavinsky, and with me, finally, for the first time in weeks, is our boy right over in that area there, Colton. What's up, man?
Hey, Andy.
There it is. So what's going on, everybody? Same energy, nothing different. Same energy as always. So on this episode, we're actually going to cover a wide assortment of things because that's what we normally do at Bridging the Geekdoms. Like I tell everybody all the time, I don't want to just cover Zack Snyder's Justice League and the DC stuff. It's just that's what is the talk of the town right now, and that's what I've been talking about all the time. But we're going to talk about some different things. We're going to talk about the impact that COVID has had on the entertainment industry, more specifically the theaters and Hollywood. We're going to take a look at season 2 of The Umbrella Academy. I got to watch it. I'm going to talk about that a little bit. We're also going to discuss some rumors and possible leaks that have come across the interwebs over the past few days. And we're going to express our excitement for the most recent DC FanDome news. Finally, we're going to discuss the future of the DCEU and why it is brighter than the MCU. But before we get into that, Colton, what's going on, man? How are things? What have you been up to?
Oh, well, my girlfriend moved in with me. I got a new puppy. Life got crazy and hectic there for a second.
That's it? That's all?
Nothing else. I've been playing video games and stuff. That's pretty much about it.
That's good. Well, tell us a little about Polygon Warriors. I know that the last time you were on the show, you talked it up a lot. Have you done a lot more with it? Are you doing things? You have things planned? Because that's your podcast. That's your baby. I mean, and you're talking about video games. So what's it all about?
Yeah, I'm working on it. I got some stuff lined up. It's just a matter of now I have time to record. So, yeah, I got some new stuff coming out, a Cyberpunk episode, and various other things. I've been working on it. I got a couple video game reviews lined up too that I need to work on.
Excellent. All right. Well, in that case, well, I guess we'll just move on to the first subject then, and the first topic of discussion. I'm going to talk about how much longer could theaters be closed? For me, this has been a big issue. If you've listened to this show over the past few years, you know, especially Colton, we both love going to the theater. We both love sitting in the atmosphere of watching a movie on the big screen. We haven't been able to do that since March. Since March, we haven't been able to do it. And it's pushed so many movies back, back to next year. Some are trying to push and come out this year still. But for the most part, they're getting pushed back to 2021. Now, for me, I have family obligations all the time. You know, I have 5,000 kids, you know, all that kind of stuff. So going to the theater isn't possible to. Yeah, my small army. I have a rugby team basically, but I wouldn't have been able to go to the theater as often as I would like to begin with, but when it comes down to it, I mean, that's something I enjoy doing, not just with me, but with my kids as well. And we're just not able to do it. And we've missed out on quite a few movies like Sonic the Hedgehog. I got to see at home. I've talked about it in the past. That would have been a movie awesome to take my kids to see. Birds of Prey, I would have loved to have seen on the big screen. I really enjoyed it. Actually, at the time, I wasn't really planning on going to see it. It's kind of in hindsight, man, I should have seen that in the theater, but I didn't. But big movies that I was looking forward to. James Bond, No Time to Die. Let's see, Tenet, Wonder Woman 84, Mulan. All these movies that would have been great to see in the theater have just been pushed back, or in one of those movies' cases, it's going to be dropping on digital, which we'll get into in a second here. But for you, what do you think the impact is going to be on just movie theater chains right now? What do you think? Colton, anything? Do you hear me? All right. Interesting. Not sure why my audio cut. Hey, I'm going to remove him, see if that works. Hey, but so yeah, when it comes to the... No, still can't hear me? I don't know what to do here. Let's see. Here, talk, Colton. Let me see if I can figure it out. You talk. This is great. Live. You gotta love live stuff, right? You gotta love it. Gotta love it. Gary, if you hear me.
On audio.
What?
I
hear
you again.
Oh,
I don't know what
what
is happening. Yeah, I don't know what's happening.
Maybe it's your connection because you're using your phone. But what do you think is the impact that theaters are going to see? What do you think the impact is theaters are going to see when it comes to movies just being pushed back or not being released in theaters?
Honestly, I hope theaters survive. Drive-ins seem to be like kind of adapting and overcoming everything that's happening right now with like concerts and stuff like that. But I like the news with AMC is kind of scary because like AMC is huge, so it's like what's Cinemark and what's the other one? I can't think of what they're called now. But what are the other theaters going to do to like survive if AMC is going down? Because it seems like AMC is on every corner or in every town. And it's kind of scary. I think some of them will pull through. I think the mom and pop ones will pull through, but I don't know about the main like line of ones.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting, definitely interesting to see what's going to happen. I mean, Universal kind of pulled a fast one on theaters a few months back by releasing Trolls digitally, and that threw a wrench into everything. AMC wasn't happy. Now they have this crazy deal for same day release theater as well as digital. I think I see Gary. I believe it was Gary on the chat here. He goes, "Hey, Tenet got pushed to September." You're right. Tenet did get pushed to September, but here's the big kicker. Not only did it get pushed to September, but when it's released, if America isn't ready, if theaters still are not open, they're still going to release it internationally. Now, Christopher Nolan is one of those people that wants his movie out at the same time everywhere because he always has some kind of weird twist or reveal or something like that in his movie. It's also releasing, I believe, a week early internationally. So it's a big mess. I mean, for a movie like Tenet, which is going to make $1 billion or should make $1 billion, it's disappointing that there's a chance a lot of theaters in the United States aren't going to be able to get that film because they're staying closed. And that's going to hurt the theater industry as well. You then have Disney who goes and takes Mulan and throws it on Disney Plus for an additional fee, mind you. They are going to be charging $29.99 extra for that movie. But that hurts the theaters again. And yes, there is a deal that they have to make. There is I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a contract or something that is made between the production houses and the theaters where when a movie is due to come out, if it doesn't get put out or if it gets released a different way, the company has to essentially pay damages to the theaters. So they had to make a deal with the theaters to put Mulan digitally. So I'm sure the theaters are going to get some sort of cut if they haven't already gotten some money for it. But I'm really worried about the theaters. I mean, around us, we have one theater. It's an AMC, but it's a small classic AMC is what they call it. I can't see something like that surviving, especially when, their theater isn't worth more than seeing a movie for more than $5 or $6, really. I mean, and they're talking that AMC may up the cost, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, that theater is not good.
No, not at all. Now, they're saying, I bet people that ditch drive-ins are pissed. They would be maximizing right now. Believe it or not, drive-ins are not as profitable as you would think. It's not a bad idea to release some of those movies in the drive-ins. The problem is when you take a look at something like a Tenet or Mulan or James Bond, those movies are, multi-million, $100 million movies to be made. It's almost impossible to make that up in a drive-in. Where they get their money is going to the theater where a person is paying $10 a ticket to see that movie. That's where they make their money. That's not what you pay when you go to a drive-in. A drive-in is usually per the carload, and it's usually around, what is it, like $25? So you're kind of missing out on that whole, a large chunk of money. Plus, there's not that many drive-ins around right now. But I do worry about it. I really do. I think that it's going to be interesting because, in about a year or two, we're going to be going through the same thing again. The same exact thing is going to happen with movie theaters. We're not going to have movies to go and see because production has stopped in Hollywood right now. So, I mean, it's starting to ramp back up. Things are starting to go back into production. But that's a 3 or 4 month time period where nothing was being produced and filmed. That's going to affect release dates down the line. They'll be able to spread things out, I think, better. So there's not going to be absolutely nothing. But for the most part, I think what it's going to be is it's going to be, where we're used to seeing every month a big tentpole film of some sort coming out. It's going to be back to where it's like one every few months.
Yeah. Which I'm not opposed to it. That saves me money in the theater.
Yeah. All right. We got some other stuff here on the oh, sorry, I was reading a comment there. But yeah, again, real quick, Mulan releasing on Disney Plus for a $29.99 additional fee. That's something that Disney's trying to do. They're trying to make their money from Mulan. That was planned for them to make money this year, and they're still trying to make it. They essentially have to have people watch it. I mean, they got to make, probably to make money, $500 million. So do the math. You're the math whiz here. Figure that out. What they need to do.
It would be like 30,000 times. I don't know, something around.
So will it happen? Maybe. I can't be sure. I think it's going to do well. But
is it per stream or is it one flat line like $29.99 and you get the movie for unlimited watch?
From what I understand is it's a more than a rental. So when you pay that $30, you get it. But say you cancel your subscription to Disney Plus, you lose it.
Oh, so, that's kind of annoying.
Yeah. But I mean, that's how they're going to make their money. You got to stay on Disney Plus to keep that movie type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense, but if I'm going to pay $30 for a movie, I better own that damn movie.
For sure. Definitely. Let's see. What else we got here? Comments, anything? So real quick, sticking with the drive-ins, that could be debatable for price. Rephrase, owners that got rid of drive-in theaters are probably pissed. Right now would be the best time for drive-ins to capitalize on profit. You're not wrong. I mean, drive-ins would be a good Band-Aid for right now, but it can't be something it's not going to sustain Hollywood. It's something that would be a Band-Aid at this point in time. And I think they should venture down that avenue for the lower budget films, the cheaper films, but you're not going to make your money when it comes to those large tentpole films. Wonder Woman, Black Widow, No Time to Die, Tenet. Those are the 4 that I'm thinking of right now that would be vastly hurt by the drive-in model as opposed to a theatrical release.
Yeah,
that's just
now would be time for all those cheap horror indie films to get like a $10 budget. It's their time to shine.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. I think that's what's going to happen, and I think that's a big thing that we're going to see is we're going to see re-releases, and we're already seeing that now. You know, some of the theaters that are opening up for smaller crowds are doing re-releases. I know my nephew just had a little birthday party of like 10, 15 people or something like that at a local theater. It was $50, and they got to sit down and watch The Empire Strikes Back. You know, like
why wasn't I invited?
Yeah, I wish I mean, I was invited. I just wasn't able to go. I had other obligations that day, but still, it's something that you're going to see. Honestly, if it was Return of the Jedi, I would have canceled my plans and gone to see because it's still the only one I've never seen in theater. But
see, that's why people like I went out and I bought a projector for like $120, and I bought a sheet for like $20, and now I just do movies at home.
There you go.
Adapt and overcome.
Adapt and overcome. We're going to move on to the next big thing. Now, I did see something about a VR here. More people need to, no joke, self-promotion here, but I have attended a movie theater in VR. Okay. Let's see, this is movie theater, but I have attended a movie theater in VR, and I thought it was great. Colton ought to know what it looks like. Very cool. If theater at home was more popular, it would be great.
Where was this theater at? Because I want to go. Watching YouTube in VR is amazing. Watching Hulu in VR is amazing. I want to watch a movie in VR.
I want to go to one of those 4D theaters. I really do. One of those theaters that they have the when it snows, it gets really cold, and you might see some snowflakes. When it gets when there's fire, it gets really hot in the theater, and the seats move. I want to do one of those one time. I may not like it. I may love it. I don't know. It's just something I want to try.
The last one I went to was the really shitty one in Kennywood with San Andreas, where like it felt like someone with a Windex bottle was spraying water on me. I was like, what is this?
So continuing with what COVID has done to the entertainment industry, it hasn't only hit Hollywood, it's also hit the comic industry. And due to what's been going on, COVID has affected DC Comics. There is rumored and speculated to be up to approximately 650 and this isn't just DC, but I'm going to say Warner Brothers as well. 650 staff, plus another 150-ish from HBO that were let go from the Warner Brothers DC conglomerate that there is. It's about 1/3 of the DC editorial staff that was let go. Mm-hmm. The DC Universe app has seen a majority of their staff let go. The big name that everybody keeps asking, there's 2 names that people keep asking about I've seen. One is Jeff Johns, and the other is Jim Lee. 2 completely opposite type of people, because one we want to see keep their job and move forward within DC. The other one we're kind of like, if he gets out of, if he's let go from DC, I wish him well, because I hate seeing anybody get their job lost. But on the other hand, keep him away from DC at this point.
Yeah, no hard feelings.
Jeff Johns, as far as we know, he hasn't been affected, so he's probably going to continue on over there. I mean, he has done some big things and good things on the comic side. Regardless, and despite everything you've heard when it comes to the film side of things, on the comic side, he has done some great things. He's done some great Green Lantern runs. He's done Rebirth. He was a big part of New 52. He's done some big things for DC. The other one is Jim Lee. And Jim Lee, he's the COO over there at DC. It seems like his role might be shifted. He might be doing something a little bit different. Maybe some new job titles or a new job title, something like that is going to be coming his way, it seems. I haven't heard anything official yet, but I have talked to a couple people who said, no, he's not let go. He's still in the fold, which is a good thing, because Jim Lee is kind of the heart of DC right now. He's been a big component on moving the filmverse, the DCEU, forward right now. And that's something that I think is really exciting, because we're going to be getting so much more when it comes to the DCEU, thanks to Jim. And hopefully these layoffs don't overly affect that, but I know there's some big things coming up at DC FanDome, so we'll get into that in a little bit. But yeah, what are your thoughts on all that?
It's gonna be sad because I actually really got into reading comics again, which I know this isn't DC, but Marvel Empire, please pick it up. It's really good. But I've been getting like the Hill House, the horror run with Basket Full of Heads, Plunge, the Lolo Woods. There's a couple other ones. It's kind of sad because like getting back into comics and then like half of DC Comics gets laid off or let go, and it's really just kind of sad to see.
Yeah. How's it going, South Cali guy? I want to throw you up there real quick. Evening, fellas. Glad I made it here for this. Hope you guys are all having a good day. Very hopeful for the future of DC. So are we, man. I mean, yeah. It's horrible to see that people are getting laid off and everything like that. The great thing is DC Comics was doing well for a number of years prior to COVID and prior to even this year. Their Rebirth series, especially in the beginning, was a huge hit, was moving forward great. I think they just got to find the right structure right now, and I think it'll be back on track. I'm kind of worried. I never got into the Black Label stuff, but I've heard a lot of good things, and I know that has been affected with these layoffs, so we'll see where that all goes. Real quick, back on the theater thing. What happened to Jared Leto's Sony movie? The vampire one is escaping me. Morbius. That's the the Morbius film by Sony.
You mean Jared Leto playing Jared Leto in a Marvel movie?
From what I understand, it is just pushed back. I don't think there's a release date for that. I can check real quick.
Was there? I don't think there was a release date like pre-COVID for it, was there?
Yeah, it was actually supposed to come out in July.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, it actually got pushed back to March 18th of 2021. So we got 10, 12 months, or not 12 months, 9 months, something like that. Yeah, that's unfortunate.
2021 is going to be lit for movies.
It really, really is going to be.
Right.
It is. It's going to be lit. Definitely going to be awesome for that. All right, let's see. I mean, I hope the best for everybody who has been let go at DC Comics. I think a lot of them will find works elsewhere. I just hope that this doesn't affect their livelihood, or it affects their livelihood, but their lives too much. I hope that they get back up on their feet quick enough, because it's hard to see what's going on in the country right now. Don't want to get too much into it, but it is, unfortunate. And I hope they do get something, back on track.
Yeah. It's maybe it's just something temporary, or they really were just super overstaffed.
I don't know if it was just that they're overstaffed. I just think that it's just what's going on right now. They're not making the money. Comic book stores were closed for a few months. They weren't selling the comics and everything like that. It's a big issue. Umbrella Academy season 2. I don't think you've watched it, Colton. I don't even think you watched season 1.
No, I've seen season 1. Season 1 was
okay. Well, season 2
is my excuse to watch season 1 again.
There you go. Season 2 just came out, 2 weeks ago. I binged it over. Well, not really binged it. I watched it first half in the beginning of the week, second half at the end of the week. That may or may not have been my what I was occupied with on Saturday, but
hey, I don't judge. Me and my mom watched season 1 for Mother's Day, so
it was good. I really enjoyed the season. I think that the family dynamic really took off in this season a bit more. The character Klaus, I absolutely love his character, and they just build on it more. In the beginning of the season, I was kind of annoyed with him, but as the season went on, I really, really enjoyed him even more. You jump over to something like, to the other like Hopper and the other characters in the family, their stories have just expanded so much in this season. And that's what I really enjoyed. I think that was more of a focusing on the character development and the family and the idea of family in this one more so than the first season. The ending was a little lackluster. I think it could have been a lot. It was anticlimactic in a way. It was cool, but just kind of like, oh, that's it. All right. Does it leave it open for a third season? I don't know. I guess you're going to have to watch to find out, but I do recommend it. If you did like the first season, if you were even like, maybe I didn't really love the first season, maybe I'll watch the second season, give it a shot. I think you're going to like it, because it really does build off what the first season started with. And the character, Ellen Page's character, I can't remember her name in the show to save my life right now. she was annoying to me in the first season. I really, really liked her character in this season. So that kind of tells you what they do with it. If you didn't like a character in the first season, you're probably going to like them in this season. At least that's how it worked out for me. So maybe you will like it, maybe you won't. I don't know. I don't know.
Season 1 was like, how do you end a season like that and then keep me waiting for season 2?
How's it going, Steve? What's up, man?
Howdy.
I'd love to. We still got to get you on the show, Steve. I really like to do it before DC FanDome because we want to talk Ayer Cut, the release of Ayer Cut movement. So definitely before FanDome, for sure. I do want to say
confirmed yet?
No.
No.
It's not confirmed, but I mean,
hasn't been denied.
Yeah, it hasn't been denied either. Talking about Umbrella Academy kind of, reminded me of an upcoming show that's going to be coming out for their season 2 on Amazon in, I think, a week or two, or a couple weeks. It's soon, or a few weeks. What is it now? The 11th. It's coming out soon. I think it's the beginning of September. But that's The Boys. The Boys season 2. I cannot freaking wait.
Me and the boys have our seasons every once in a while. Drinking seasons, but
I cannot wait for The Boys season 2. I recommend everybody going out, getting Amazon Prime just to binge The Boys. I'm actually gonna try and talk my fiance into binging the first season prior to season 2 coming out. I think she would really enjoy it because it's such a different take on the superhero genre. But definitely want to watch the first season of The Boys and then watch those trailers, because the trailers, there's a trailer where there's this big beached whale essentially.
So I'm in the middle of the trailer.
Yeah, exactly. And nice. They ram a boat into it, and it kind of just explodes with blood and guts everywhere. It's hilarious. I mean, The Boys is just great. Go watch it. Just go watch The Boys. All right.
Yeah, I still need to get on. Speaking of shows to watch, still haven't watched. What is it? I can't think of the name of the show, but Shameless. There it is. Shameless.
Well, I mean, check it out. I mean, it's totally worth. Shameless is totally worth it. The middle seasons get kind of meh, but overall, it's a fantastic raunchy show that will just it's just one of those shows that makes you laugh, and I mean, that's about it. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, I don't know. I still haven't seen it, but I'll probably check out The Boys before I check out that one.
All right, yay or nay? A Catwoman HBO Max series. So there was a rumor that popped up, I want to say 2 or 3 days ago. It was I think it may have been Friday of last week. And they are saying that Zoe Kravitz's Catwoman would be getting an HBO Max series. Now, I've talked to a few people and confirmed that this really is not true. This rumor just is not true. So for those of you who are excited about that, that's the thing. I haven't seen any articles coming out that saying, no, this isn't true. So I just kind of wanted to clarify for people that this isn't a thing. Well, Matt Reeves' Batman, we are getting the Gotham PD show on HBO Max, which is going to be fantastic in my opinion, because I'm hoping it does what Gotham on Fox was supposed to do and ended up not doing. So I'm really hoping that's what his show does. But a Catwoman series, while I would love to see it, and I would love to see that universe built up more, I can't imagine that it's going to happen at this juncture, at least. They may wait and see, okay, how does Gotham PD do? How is her character portrayal, how do people take it in the Batman? I think those are kind of things that they're going to want to wait and see, because at this point, while DC is building something huge right now, I don't think they're ready to just jump all in with one thing or another when it comes to new projects that have already been made, characters that people already love and adore. That's a different story. But when it comes to something like that, I think it's more of a wait and see. Let's see what happens. And maybe that's something that they can test out, in a year or two, or maybe it's just something that they threw like, hey, why don't we do this? And they're like, no. And then that was the end of it. So don't believe what you're hearing about the Catwoman series. I have it on good authority that rumor was false. Yeah.
Sad.
So Andrea Arjona, I don't know how to say it. Actually, let me see these comments real quick.
Vagana.
Let's see here. I'm just reading the comics. So, Arjana, whatever. She has been cast in the Cassian Andor series for Disney Plus. That's exciting. That really is exciting. Now, here's the thing. Who is Adria? Not Andrea. It's Adria. I spelled it wrong. My bad, everybody. Adria Arjona. I've never seen her before, but she was in Pacific Rim, which I watched. Don't remember her.
Yeah,
That's the second one.
I don't remember her at all.
Besides that, I haven't watched any of these other films, so I can't even say, or shows. Like, I don't know what she's like or anything like that. The biggest thing that I get from this, which makes me really, really, really excited, is they're finally moving forward with the Cassian Andor series.
Yeah.
There's been so much talk about The Mandalorian. Back in November, December, there was all this talk about the Obi-Wan series and it's getting rewritten and everything like that. Cassian Andor has just been kind of like, hey, remember us? We're over here. Hello, anybody? Finally, we're seeing some movement.
Yeah, it's kind of exciting, even though I don't know where that's going to lead or go.
Yeah.
Or even take place or what's going to happen. But, whatever. It's Star Wars. I'll throw it my way.
Yeah. Just going to jump back here. South Cali, jumping on saying, hey, The Boys is a good show. I love season 1. I'm sure season 2 will knock it out of the park. Absolutely. 100% agree. Can't wait for it. Let's see. Elder. Hey, Elder. I remember you from the roundtable discussion for Zack Snyder. Hey, man. Honestly, HBO Max in Brazil in 2021, people keep talking about how they really hope that HBO Max is available for them by the time Zack Snyder's Justice League comes out. And I can't imagine Warner Productions or Warner Media or whatever, or AT&T for that matter, that they're going to allow that movie to not get released somehow in those countries, in those areas of the world that just don't have HBO Max. I think that they will find a way to, whether it's with another streaming service or something like that, I think it will get released. So for the time being, I think it's kind of like be patient, because they're things that they have to work out, behind the scenes, and they can't really say anything about it yet. I think it's going to happen, though. I can't imagine this. The excitement and the hype behind Zack Snyder's Justice League is so high. And not just in the United States, they can see that movement was international. You take a look at what happened, especially over in Europe and the UK and everything like that with different promotions. I can't imagine that they're not going to make sure that this gets around the world, whether it's Brazil or I can't remember. I think there's other countries that don't have HBO Max. I'm not going to even try and remember what I've seen, but I know there's other countries that don't have it. And I have to believe that they're gonna get it out there somehow. That's just my belief. Hopefully, I'm right. Hopefully, I am. Definitely. But
I can't imagine with all the hype around Zack Snyder's Justice League that they wouldn't even at least try to push it to be out by then.
Yeah. I don't know. I wish I could say for certain, like, yeah, I've heard this, but I haven't heard anything. And I can't see them not putting it out. I just think that would do more damage than good. They want the money. And if they don't put it out themselves, they're going to get it illegally. So they'll lose out on money. Which kind of leads us to our next topic here. DC FanDome. Guest list has been released. Quite exciting, if you ask me. That last week, they finally released the cast list for DC FanDome.
So many people.
Exactly.
There's like at least 5.
So, yeah, that's DC FanDome. That's the list, plus more and more. I'm just going to mention a few names real quick here. Ezra Miller, the Muschiettis, which they're directing, he and his wife are working on the Flash movie, Zachary Levi, Asher Angel, Zack Snyder, Boss Logic, Val Kilmer. Those are just to name a few of the big names that are going to be at DC FanDome, and I think it's fantastic. It's exciting. I can't wait for it. And I really, really think that when it comes down to it, this is going to be the premier event of the year. I think this is going to be where everybody is going to want to go to see what's going on in the entertainment world, especially when it comes to DC, because it is all DC related. It's not Warner Brothers, talking about Harry Potter. No, this is all DC related films, comics, TV shows, whatever it is, movies. It doesn't matter. It is all that, and it's fantastic.
I'll probably log in, check it out.
Well, keep in mind, it is only
get a souvenir keychain.
It is a 24-hour long event, period. So it's up for 24 hours. After that 24 hours, it is gone. It is done. So if you didn't watch it within those 24 hours, you don't get to watch it. And the crazy thing is there are scheduled times for many of the panels. So when that panel goes on, if it's at 1 p.m., and you don't get there until 2:00, you miss that hour. You're not going to get to see that hour again. That's it. That's gone. The Hall of Heroes, because they have little sections throughout, the Hall of Heroes is a little bit different, because what they're doing with that is they are going to be doing, here, let me pull it up here for us real quick so I can kind of explain it while we're looking at it. When it comes to the Hall of Heroes, where did it go? So many times. There it is. So here it is. You'll see there's sections for each area. You got the kids verse at the top. You got the insider verse over on the right side. You got the fun verse. Then you got the Hall of Heroes. You got the watch verse, and you got the U verse. The Hall of Heroes is going to be an 8-hour long program that repeats 3 times within its 24 hours. That's kind of nice, because I'm sure that's going to be just a lot of not the big information, but little tidbits here and there that would be interesting to find out about. The watch verse, I think, is going to be the one where we're going to want to go to watch the panels and everything like that. So keep a lookout for that. It looks like the fun verse is going to be more comic centric. And just looking at this stuff, kids verse is going to be all kids oriented. So I mean, I don't know, but they are releasing the schedule this week for Fandom. So what that means for my schedule on the 22nd, that means a lot, actually, because I'm going to be planning out my day around that schedule that they release. Obviously, I'm going to be watching the Zack Snyder stuff, all of it. I'm going to try and find a way to watch it multiple times. And there's a lot of other stuff. I mean, there's the Batman. We're going to get clips from the, possibly a little teaser, a clip from the Batman. There's 2 movies that are secrets still that they have not announced that they're going to announce. There's so much more than that I want to watch. And they're saying that it's over 100 hours of content, but you only have 24 hours to watch it. So you have to choose what you're looking and watching wisely. So,
and then go to YouTube for the people that illegally screen shared. Or screen recorded.
Steve, is it 24 hours from the 22nd into the 23rd? So the way it works is it's 24 hours from the moment that it begins. So for instance, Colton and I, we are Eastern Standard Time in America. So we're East Coast. It starts at 1 p.m. for us. It'll be available from 1 p.m. that day until 1 p.m. the night, or 12:59 p.m. the next day. That full 24 hours is what it will be available for. So however it works out for where you're at, I believe, Steve, I think we talked, I think you're on the East Coast as well, if I'm not mistaken. But wherever you're located, if you're in California, it's 3 hours behind. So you're looking at what, 10? So 10 to 9:59 the next day. That's how it'll work. Let's see. Oh, this is exciting. So if you have any questions, we're definitely going to answer some more questions a little bit here. Wow, we're already up to 40 minutes. Holy crap.
That's what happens every time we record.
Yeah. We're going to jump to a couple things here, video game wise. It's kind of a neat little way to plug Colton's Polygon Warriors here. I'm going to call this little segment Polygon Warrior Attack. So Xbox Series S sort of leaked. I don't know if you saw, but it kind of sort of leaked. Maybe
kind of all but confirmed.
Sort of, kind of.
Yeah.
This is what we saw. I don't know how good everybody can see that. It's kind of tough to see, I think. See if I can. Nope. That's
the same constellation. We're looking at the same article.
I can't. Oh, I screwed it up. All right. Anyways, if you look over on the right side, so this is a controller. This is the new controller for the Xbox Series X. Now it's just white. I mean, as opposed to the black that they've already unveiled. You can see the new button in it. You can see the new D-pad. There's some small differences within the controller itself, but essentially it is the same design as the Xbox One controller. Now, this is packaging for it. On the side of the packaging, it tells you it is for the Xbox Series X/S, Xbox One, Windows 10, Android, and iOS. This has confirmed the not very secret rumor that there is going to be a second version of the Xbox series of Xboxes coming out, if not this holiday, very shortly thereafter, called the Series S. And a lot of people have speculated that it's going to be a cheaper version, smaller, and not quite as hardware heavy as the Series X is. Yeah. It's going to not be the 4K and all that fun stuff. It might be 4K. I don't know all the details. You should know more about this than I do, but yeah.
The controller looks interesting. I don't know why PlayStation and Xbox have a hard-on for a share button. I don't get it. Why? Why do I need to share? I suck. I don't need to share anything at all. I don't do anything cool. I do nothing memorable. I just suck.
I mean, you're not wrong. You do suck quite awful. A bit.
The only thing I'm good at is Rocket League.
So continuing with that, Sal Cali, hey, Halo Infinite gets pushed back to 2021 due to COVID. That is correct. I actually have a little thing here that I wanted to pull up for that because it's kind of disappointing if you ask me. I think this is the right tab. Nope, it's not.
Not everybody's favorite. Remember, not everybody's favorite Spartan is immune to COVID.
True. I do have it on my Twitter here. Here we go. So today, 343 Industries released this little memo, and it's just saying that they're pushing the release of Halo Infinite back to 2021. That they're doing it because they want to make sure that they can get the game done right, and due to COVID and the impacts that is caused across the industry, that is why they cannot do so. Get it out by holiday like they thought. I think this is why they can't get it out by the holiday, because that is a screenshot from that little snippet of the game that we saw.
Come on, don't diss him. He became a meme.
Yeah,
I mean, the graphics look bad in that gameplay thing they did.
Yeah, I don't know why they took that specific build to display and showcase the game. I think it was a bad move on their part to do that. I don't know. I think it was just a bad idea. I was happy that they showed it because I'm a huge Halo fan, have been since 2001. I've read many of the books. I've played the games. I love the Halo lore, but I just think it was a bad idea to show that specific build of the game. There's people saying that it was a build from back in January. So it's a 6-month-old build, which you absolutely know that the build or the graphics and gameplay are definitely going to be improved within 6 months. At least you would hope so. Or maybe that's why they're pushing this game back.
COVID I don't know. All fucked up.
I mean, could it be all COVID's fault? I don't know. Another Polygon Warrior attack. This is the one you wanted to talk about. Star Wars Squadron. Yeah. So what did you want to talk about?
Just how beautiful that game looks. And like how much we want. Like I personally wanted a flying game for Star Wars words. I'm terrible at this. But like Rogue, what was it? Rogue Squadron on the 64.
Rogue Squadron, yeah.
And stuff like that. Like we haven't really had a flying game like that since like the 64.
Here's my problem with it. And I don't understand why games are doing this, and it just aggravates me to no end. So as you can see right now, I have up a picture. It is of the Imperial side of things, and you have 5 different pilots. I'm sure that each pilot's going to fly a different type of ship. And guess what you're going to do? You're going to fly a different ship with every character that you pick. I want customization in these games. The thing that I loved about Rogue Squadron back on the N64 wasn't that there was customization, but just that I got to try out every ship I wanted throughout the game, and I got to fly the Millennium Falcon. I got to fly a B-Wing. I got to fly an A-Wing. I got to fly a Y-Wing. I got to fly all the different ships that I loved growing up watching in Star Wars. This game just does not excite me at all. I don't know what it is. It's just, I know that there's going to be some VR connection to it as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's what I'm excited for.
I'm not excited for it. I wish I was, but I think it's that games anymore to me just have not been exciting. They're not. I'm an old guy. I'm 34 years old. Get off my lawn, little kids. But I miss the old days
because I'm 10 years younger.
I miss the old days. I really do. I think that the games were more simplistic in design, and I think that's what made them more exciting and more fun. Anymore, they try so hard to like, oh, look, you could be the Imperials here, or you can do this, or you can do this, but leave out the customization, because I am a fan of customization. I do like customization. That's why I really didn't like Rainbow Six Siege, because I was so used to Rainbow Six Vegas and Vegas 2, where you had the customization. You can make your own character. That was fun. That's what I want to see from a Star Wars game. Give me a game like that in Star Wars. Even Fallen Jedi Fallen Order, whatever it's called. That game was fun, but it lacked customization. I mean, it was like, here, you can wear this red cloth or this black cloth.
Yeah. And then It was like, you can customize your lightsaber to be either slightly gold or slightly silver.
Yeah.
There was no real in between. I don't know. I think it's weird that we're going to have a Star Wars flying game that only has 8 ships. Patty. But 4 for the New Republic and 4 for the Empire. I think that's weird. We have all these ships in Star Wars, yet there's only going to be 4.
Yeah. Let's see. Steve asked, do you think later in a couple years we will get a resurgence of buying weekly physical comics books with the push now going to digital? That's a good question. I'm not a huge physical comic book guy. I fell down the digital rabbit hole a few years back. It's just more convenient. I can see my Fire tablet sitting right on my nightstand over there, and that's where I got all my Star Wars comics. That's where I get all my DC comics. That's where I watch them, read them. I would hope so, because I will say this: one of my favorite things to do is walk into a comic book store. I absolutely love doing that. I love going into a comic book store. I love sitting down and chatting with the people in there and picking their brains of what they expect to have or to happen. And I do collect certain comics as well. I collect a lot of number ones that I see that I want. But besides that, I just prefer the digital. I have a weird thing about paper. I don't like even books. Like, I prefer digital as opposed to physical books. I'm weird. I don't know.
I still buy my comics weekly. every Monday.
Yeah. Let's see. I got nothing else here on the comments, so I guess we will move to our next thing, which is our big topic here. Boom. Why the future of the DCEU is brighter than the MCU. Yeah.
Because the sun is bright.
Yeah, sun is bright. I want to bring this up only because it is an interesting time for both companies when it comes to the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the DCEU. Marvel just finished they're in the midst of a change. Endgame was the culmination of 11 years of storytelling. And they kind of closed the book rather well. I enjoyed Infinity War and Endgame quite a bit. Were they my favorite films in the MCU? No. But I did enjoy the movies quite a bit, and I felt that it was a good end to those 11 years.
The worst part of that, of Infinity War and Endgame, was Ant-Man and the Wasp was in between.
Yeah. No, you're not wrong. Ghost was cool, though. I liked Ghost. I did like Ghost in that movie. But, breaking it down, MCU's track record is copy and paste. You take a look at 11 years, a lot of those movies are copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste, with a few different ones here and there. That's my worry when it comes to Marvel. There's no reason to believe that they're not going to continue the same trend. And even if it's that they do something new right now, so we know that they're exploring a different way of doing and putting out their content with Disney Plus. We got WandaVision, we got Loki, we got Falcon and the Winter Soldier coming out. That's great, but is it going to just be copy and paste, copy and paste, copy and paste again? And that's what I'm worried about when it comes to Marvel, because after about 5 or 6 years, it got kind of tiresome over in the MCU. And that's kind of when my excitement started to dip down for a lot of those movies. And I don't want to see them to continue doing that. I mean, they have some big movies coming out, and we'll talk about that in a second. But, I think when it comes to the DCEU, the sky's the limit right now. They don't have any kind of template that they need to follow, that they have been following. And to the contrary, it's completely different now. When it comes to comic book films and comic book series, the scope and the reality is completely different. You take a look at what happened this past year with Joker. I mean, that's a comic book movie. And whether you like it or not, and I'm one of the ones that I was not a fan of it, but whether you like it or not, it shows that people are willing and are not against the idea of seeing comic book movies that are darker and grimmer and brooding and just like that, and people aren't against that idea. We saw with Deadpool. Deadpool is completely different than Marvel. Yeah, it's still fun and it has its jokes, but I mean, it is a hard R in many moments of that movie. The scope of comic book movies has changed over the past 10 years. And I think DC is the first one that really became aware of this. And I also want to kind of say, and people may laugh at me or yell at me for this, but I think they were kind of ahead of the curve when it comes to that. Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman are not your typical superhero films. And DC was trying to push that. They were trying to push, like, look, we don't want to do the same as what we're seeing across the street. We don't want to do the same that we did in the 2000s. They tried to do something different. And I don't think people were ready back then, but I think now people are. You take a look at what Joker made. You take a look at what Deadpool's making. You take a look at that kind of success. And it's easy to see that right now, DC is kind of on a win streak because they've done many different things. Not only did they have Aquaman that was very, very successful, they had Shazam, which was very successful, and then they have Joker. Those three films, very, very different type of films. There was no copy and paste with those. They were three vastly different movies. Birds of Prey, you could throw that in there. And while it wasn't successful, I do blame COVID for that a good bit, because I think it didn't get the run that it deserved in theaters, but it was a damn good movie. And I encourage everybody to watch it, because don't go in there expecting this fantastic award-worthy film. Just go in there expecting a fun, comic book movie where women kick ass. And that's what you're going to get. I really enjoyed it. So definitely check it out. But that's what you're looking at. You're looking at their four most recent movies are so vastly different from one another, and yet they've all been successful in some form or fashion. Marvel, all their films have been successful, but they've all been connected in some form or fashion, and very, very similar in tone and look and story and everything. I mean, it's kind of the way I think it's going. It's going in a different direction. Taking a look at the upcoming films, we have for DC, Wonder Woman 84, The Batman, Zack Snyder's Justice League, The Flash, Black Adam. Now, Black Adam's an interesting one, because who would have ever thought, even 5-10 years ago, that we would ever get a Black Adam movie? Because most people, moviegoers, not comic book fans, are going to say, who the hell is Black Adam? I mean, who is he? That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who Black Adam is, because you got the biggest superstar in all of entertainment playing the role in Dwayne Johnson. I can't say his name. Dwayne Johnson. He's playing
the former WWE heavyweight champion.
So you got him in the role. So that movie's that's almost $1 billion guarantee right there. Comic book, Dwayne Johnson, almost $1 billion. I'll say this right now, the film hasn't even begun filming, I don't think. And I'm going to sit here and say it's an $800 million movie minimum. Because of that.
If he hits a rock bottom on someone, I'll be happy.
Then we have Shazam 2, New Gods, and then on top of that, those are movies. We got Justice League Dark coming out. There's rumors of a Zatanna film or series. I mean, you guys, like, it's crazy. And you can't sit there and say, oh, these are all similar to one another. None of them are. The only things that you can sit there and say, Shazam 2 is going to be similar to Shazam 1. Black Adam's going to be vastly different. I don't think people realize that. It's not going to be like Shazam. It's not. That's just not how the character is, which makes him such a good antagonist to Shazam. The Flash, okay, there's rumor and speculation that that's actually going to connect to Zack Snyder's Justice League in some form. So, okay, that's going to be connected. Justice League Dark and Zatanna, obviously, makes sense. Those are going to be connected. But for the most part, you take a look at this list, these are all vastly different types of movies and shows. You jump over to Marvel, we got Black Widow. Black Widow, okay, I think it's
technically
a little
dead.
I think it's a little too late for that movie, but they're still doing it. Whatever, okay. You have Eternals, which is interesting because who the hell are the Eternals? I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm a comic book genius or I know everything about comic books, but I know a good bit. And prior to them announcing this movie, I had no idea who the Eternals were. I've done my research, but at that point in time, I had no idea who they really were. Captain Marvel 2, woohoo. Although they did just get a director
Captain
for
Marvel
that.
1.
Captain Marvel did just get a new director. So I'm hoping that this new director can actually do some big things because Captain Marvel 1 was just a copy and paste of Captain America. Black Panther 2. Again, I really enjoyed Black Panther to a certain point. The ending was a little cheap. And it did have a beautiful scene at the end, but for the most part, it just wasn't a great ending. It was a decent enough movie. I enjoyed it.
Another
Shang-Chi. Yeah. Shang-Chi. Is that it? Is that right? Shang-Chi. Am I saying that right?
I would assume so. That's how that's how it's spelled.
Yeah, Shang-Chi. For some reason, it didn't like saying it. It just didn't sound right coming out of my mouth. Yeah, how you get that sometimes. Then you have Doctor Strange too, which that should be exciting. Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Loki, and WandaVision. Out of all of those, you have two movies that are exploring new characters. Two.
Yeah.
Eternals and Shang-Chi. How can you not say that they're not going to continue? Like, how can you confidently say they're not going through the same routine with their films and their shows? Don't get me wrong. Yeah, I want to see these same characters. I want to see them develop. But the two that anybody truly cared about are gone. Spoiler alert, Iron Man's dead. He's dead. He's gone. Like, what? Like, does anybody come on? We cared about him the most. And Captain America, I mean, he's old. He's gone. He's gone. So at this point, it's kind of like the two characters that we've invested 11 years in are gone that we would love to see more of. These other characters we haven't gotten enough of, but we don't really care about. We've gotten enough of them, but we just don't care enough about them like we cared about the others. And the uncertainty of what's going on with Spider-Man, we're getting I think 3 more total appearances by him in the MCU. So there's an expiration date on him. So do we want to get attached and get excited about the next things coming from him when we know there's an expiration date? It's just, it's one of those things. It's kind of like the DCEU, this is their moment. They have the opportunity to really change the landscape of superhero and comic book movies.
Yeah.
Let's see. What are people saying here?
No better time for Zack Snyder's Justice League to drop. Especially with, I'm sure you've talked about it, the low-res Steppenwolf, which just is amazing.
Yeah. Steve says, I think really comic book movies have always tried to be different from their source material. I think the MCU is the most recent Disney renaissance. You're not wrong. They do. They try to be somewhat different from their source material. But I kind of, I have to say when it comes to Marvel, that I think the MCU especially, they stayed more true to the source material than movies of the past. You take a look at 1989 Batman. Yeah, it kind of was inspired by Frank Miller's Batman, but overall, I mean, it kind of separated itself from the comics pretty well there, especially in character designs and like Batman Returns, and then Batman Forever and Batman and Robin, that kind of stuff. You take a look at the movies in the 2000s, X-Men. Yeah, I mean the characters as a whole, yeah, you had your Wolverine, you had your Storm, you had your Cyclops, you had all these characters that were known from the comics, but they kind of went in a completely different direction with the story in a way. They I mean, even look at how they did the Phoenix in the first 3 X-Men movies. God, X-Men Last Stand. I don't want to talk about that, but
do we even want to acknowledge Dark Phoenix either?
Oh God, that movie was bad. That was real bad. Had so much potential, but was so bad. I really hoped it was going to be good. But you take a look at Marvel, and while they did kind of separate themselves from the comics, I think it's the series that stayed the most true to those characters and what was being built, or what it was built the years prior in the comics. So yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with you. I just feel that, like you said, MCU is the most recent Disney renaissance. I think that it's that there is them saying the MCU is like, look, we can honor what comics have done before and build off of that. In my opinion, that's kind of what it was. People say, hey, DC Talk with Extended. I enjoy Birds of Prey. Steve, Birds of Prey is awesome. Pulp Fiction, Snatch, set in Gotham. That's a cool way to looking at it. It is kind of like that a little bit. I probably lean more towards Snatch than Pulp Fiction, but yeah, I completely agree. It is a fun movie. I encourage everybody to go see it. South Cali, I'm okay with Birds of Prey, not my favorite film, but I enjoyed it. That's kind of how you got to look at it, everybody. Steve has just blown up the chat here. Have the MCU had? Let's not forget MCU is based off the Ultimate line, and even then, that is different. What they did is replicate panels, but change their narrative to fit into their story. You're right. I can't deny and negate that. Yeah. To me, I just feel, the comics that I grew up in the 90s, because mind you, where I grew up, I didn't have a comic book store I could run to and flip through comics every day. I had a supermarket that I would go into that had a spinning rack, and the same comic sat on there for weeks at a time sometimes. And the ones they had on there, Batman and Spider-Man. That was pretty much it. That's those are the comics that I ever really were able to get into as a kid in the 90s. Here and there, I would catch an X-Men comic on there and check it out. Or, I think there was a Blade comic on there one time. I think it was right around the time when the movie came out. And I was like, holy crap, this is I didn't know it was a comic until I saw that there. So for me, I can't sit there and say, especially when it comes to the Marvel side, I can't sit there and say, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. But from what I saw growing up, the comparisons to what I saw in the comics to what the MCU did, I think are more in line with each other than what we saw prior to the MCU starting when it came to comic book films and comics. But again, I can't. That's all your opinion, man. That's all your opinion. Keep asking your questions, guys. I think the biggest thing that we need to look at when it comes to the DCEU also is what we're all perceiving and taking as the multiverse at this point. We're all an understanding that there's going to be this multiverse built up in the DCEU, which completely changes the game. And the rumors, which I have on good authority, are pretty accurate, that Michael Keaton is going to be showing back up as Batman in the DCEU in some form or fashion in the Flash movie. That is all because they're going to be connecting all of the previous types of movies that have happened together in one giant multiverse. So that gives the ability for directors, creators, writers, producers, what have you, to come and pitch ideas to make movies that are all based in any one of those continuities that they want to go to. Hey, you want to continue the storyline from Zack Snyder's perspective? Hey, if Zack is okay with it and you want to, go for it. You know, you want to continue what they did over here with 2017's Justice League? Go for it. Continue with it. That's what is so amazing with this. This is a completely different type of monster that we've never seen anything like this before. And I'm really, really, really looking forward to it, because I think from a standpoint of a moviegoer, I'm not even going to sit here and say as a comic book fan, because we know that I'm a little more biased towards DC. I am, and it's just because of what I grew up with. That's how I grew up, was a DC fan. But it's not that I've never enjoyed the MCU or Marvel. I've Spider-Man. I love Spider-Man. I watched Spider-Man the animated series every single Saturday of my childhood. I watched that. I watched X-Men the animated series as much as I could when I was a kid. I love Marvel. But when it comes to the films, and the comics, I moved towards DC because I felt that it was more down my alley of what I wanted to really, take in and spend my hard-earned cash on. But coming from a movie goer standpoint, I truly believe that if you look at it subjectively, there's a lot more to be excited for when it comes to DC as opposed to Marvel.
Yeah, I agree.
Wow, that was easy. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, let's see what else we got here.
Zack Snyder, I think DC finally had a chance.
It comes down to this: when Snyder was brought back in, that changed everything. It did. It changed the scope of everything, because Snyder had a vision, and I did an amazing article over at spoilerverse.com to check out that explains how his iteration of Superman is the quintessential Superman of forever. I mean, this is the Superman that we need to respect, because it is giving us an origin story that is honoring what has come in the comics before it and has built upon it, as well as setting it into more of a real world type of place. And his vision was so specific to that. It's taking a look at these superheroes from a real world perspective that, at this point, they can build off of that. It was successful. People love the campiness of some of the other films that have come prior, but now they can build off of that, because I think they realize there's an audience for that. People want to see that. So when they brought Zack Snyder in, they're like, okay, people want to see more of that. What else do they want to see? Oh, they liked this stuff. They really like Shazam. That was a little more campy. We can continue that. People love the Joker. Well, we can go and do, movies like this. Let's do a Two-Face one like that. Why the hell not? I think that'd be amazing. Do like a police procedural movie with Two-Face of somehow make it like a Law and Order. That'd be badass. Like they could do different things like that. So I think that Zack Snyder coming into the fold really did change the way everything could work. I really do. Let's see. We got a question. Do you think, in your personal opinions, regardless of what form we get it in, do you feel we will get a Justice League 2 with Zack continuing his story? I guess I'll take this one because Colton hasn't really been involved.
I mean, I can weigh in on it, but
go ahead, weigh in.
You shouldn't really take my opinion for anything. Honestly, I think it depends on how well Justice League 1 goes, which I'm sure it will probably do phenomenally, and we'll probably see a Justice League 2 with Zack. Probably. I think they'll finish his, what was it, like Justice League 1, 2, and 3? Was it supposed to be 3 parts?
Yes. Well,
Well, if his Justice League is supposed to be 1 and 2, then maybe 2 will be 3 or something like that. I know that's a lot of talking in circles, but
so basically, there was a 5-film arc that was all but confirmed. Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, and 3 Justice League movies. At some point during production, let me take a quick drink here.
Stay hydrated, my friend.
I need to. I'm doing a lot of talking. At some point in production, it was changed to basically being a 4-part story. I can't talk. And he was going to get Justice League 1 and 2, and that's what he was going to be able to do. And then eventually it came down to where we were just going to get Justice League. He left the project. We got Justice League, and the rest is history. So that begs the question, what are we going to get moving forward? And I talked about this a couple weeks ago when I was talking to Marcus and TJ from the Cultured Nerd on the show. And we talked about it a little bit. We're going to get 3 parts of Justice League. How are we getting those 3 parts? That is a good question. Now, the reason why I truly believe this is at Justice Con, people like Jay Oliva and Ray Fisher, they were all saying different things that made me believe that, hey, there was more filming and more production that went on during those movies than the BVS and Justice League than I think people realize. Jay Oliva talks about how he saw storyboards that, and during Batman vs. Superman, that kind of spelled out the entire Justice League arc. All the parts. You figure when they're filming, take the nightmare scene, for instance, in Batman vs. Superman. They're filming that scene during Batman vs. Superman, that nightmare sequence. It would be dumb for them to just shoot that small scene and then a year later go back and film more. Like, why not just film it there? Yeah. Financially, continuity-wise, it makes sense. Plus, it goes in line with some rumors we've heard about, possibility of Joker being involved in the nightmare scene. There's rumors of Deathstroke were involved in the nightmare scene. There's a lot of things that start to make sense when you start to realize, like, Zack's vision started in 2014. He then was filming Batman vs. Superman, then Justice League, almost simultaneously, back to back. Like, he filmed Batman vs. Superman. By the time it released in theaters, he was already filming Justice League. You have to believe that he was filming things and doing things differently than before, or not differently, but doing things to continue the story on after Batman vs. Superman and Justice League and everything like that. He's also been given rumored $70+ million to finish his vision. No compromise. Remember, no compromise. He has been given full reign to finish his vision. No compromise. $70 million+ on 5 hours worth of footage he already has. He could probably get a couple more hours of footage filmed with that, and as well as special effects, and for the most part be done with it. So the question comes, are we going to get the full vision of his arc? Justice League 1, 2, and 3. I don't think we're going to get the full thing, but I think he has a way, because he's such a good storyteller and he knows what he wants to do. He's going to shorten his arc, where his arc would have been maybe a 6 or 7, 8 hour arc between Justice League 1, 2, and 3. I think he's going to shorten it down to about 5 or 6 hours. And we're going to get 3 parts over 5 or 6 hours. That's what I believe.
2 hours a piece. It's not awful.
Now, Steve makes sure, he goes, hey, we don't know how much Zack shot. 214 was a compromise cut at the time. That's a 3 hour plus movie. What does Zack still have not put into the 214 cut? You're right, Steve. I mean, the thing that he showed was the 214 compromise cut. That it was the compromise cut. That was the cut that Warner Brothers was like, we want that Steppenwolf. We want, this to happen. You need to set up Aquaman. You need to set up Flash. That was the 214 cut. That was the compromised cut with Jeff Johns and John Berg and Warner Brothers input. I've heard from people, I've talked to some people who've stated, hey, yes, there was about 5-6 hours worth of footage actually shot. I think Zack even said it at some point. I could be wrong. I'm sorry. I'm not going to say for sure, but I think he did. that there was about 5 or 6 hours worth of footage shot for that movie. And that makes sense. You figure 214 minutes, you're going to cut probably a good hour plus of footage that you've made from a movie like that with a big budget movie. You're going to film more than you need, and then you cut stuff out. So if 214 was a compromised cut, you have to realize that there was probably a good hour or so left in there already, which would have taken over 4 hours. So I have to believe that he had close to 5 hours, if not more, that was filmed. Is it all usable? Maybe not. But he's probably got close to it. So you're right. I mean, the 214 is the compromise. What we're getting now when he talks about his Zack Snyder's Justice League, or the untitled Zack Snyder Justice League movie, Grace Randolph has alluded to that she was told by Zack that it's at least 4 hours long. I think it's going to be more than that, because I think it's going to be broken up into at least 3 parts. And that's my take on the whole thing. So hopefully that answers your question. Maybe it didn't. Here's where it gets a little sticky, is this. It gets sticky because are those 3 parts going to be of Justice League Part 1, so the Steppenwolf story arc, or are those 3 parts going to be the entire arc? And that's where it gets kind of sticky, because you have people out there who are saying, no, we're going to get a series for Justice League. So we're going to get season 1 in 2021, season 2 in 2022, season 3 in 2023, or something like that. And I don't see that happening. I think Zack is going to try and find a way to finish this project relatively quickly and for as cheap as he can, because he's only given so much money. And if it's successful, he'll find a way to continue it, I think. But for the most part, I think his arc that he wanted to complete, I think, will be completed in three parts. I do. Ayer cut. If so, thoughts of announcement at DC FanDome. Yay or nay? Ayer cuts. Look.
Yay.
David Ayer's gotten really quiet lately on social media when it comes to Suicide Squad. If you pay attention to his Twitter, around the time that they announced Snyder's Justice League was coming out, May 20th of 2020, he started posting, retweeting, tweeting images. He was doing Zack Snyder. He was doing his best impression of Zack Snyder on Twitter. Why did I disappear? Uh-oh.
No. That's because you said no to his Ayer cut. That was Ayer coming back and saying yes.
Hopefully. I don't know. I disappeared. Anyways. Camera is unplugged. Plug it back in or select a different camera.
Oof.
Okay. There, I'll use that one right now. There it goes. It's back.
Well,
anyways.
Sex Cam 1, Sex Cam 2, Sex Cam 1.
So he's been really quiet, and I think it's going to be announced. Debbie Snyder also kind of alluded to working with another director during Justice Con. A lot of speculation is that it's going to be David Ayer. Yes, you can listen to some of the people that are out there in Twitterverse or on other podcasts who are saying, hey, we're going to get a re-edited version of David Ayer's Suicide Squad with Steppenwolf added. A lot of people will then say, no, how can you do that? Because the story doesn't line up. And that was all storyboards and concept art and blah, blah, blah. Both sides could be right. That's all I want to say. Because, the people were saying, hey, the film that was shot is what was shot, when it comes to Incubus and Enchantress. And you're not wrong. That movie was shot. The concept art, the storyboards, the ideas of having Steppenwolf into that, did it ever make past the concept side of things? And I can't say that it did or not. I don't know. I can't say if it did or not. Maybe some aspect of it did. But why? Remember, we just talked about all this footage that Snyder made and shot during BVS and Justice League. Why isn't it a possibility that they maybe take a couple scenes that he shot, maybe put it at the end of Suicide Squad to help set up Justice League even better, to introduce Steppenwolf there? I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility. And I'm not saying I've heard anything because I haven't in that regard. I do believe 100% we're getting David Ayer's Suicide Squad. We are going to get that. We're going to get the Ayer cut, the one that is uncompromised, the one that has the score as opposed to the rap and pop music. We're going to get that movie. Now, if it includes Steppenwolf or not, that's another story. I just kind of thought to myself, actually, while I was cutting the grass yesterday, I'm like, you know what? Why couldn't they do this with Steppenwolf? Why not? Why couldn't they just add him into a post-credit scene or add him somewhere else in the movie, that helps set up Justice League, but doesn't take away from the story of Suicide Squad? So that's what I think. It really is. We've gone an hour and 20. I think it's going to be time to kind of wrap this up a little bit here. So
time to hit the dusty old trail.
Gonna have to hit the dusty old trails. Thank you, everybody, for jumping on. I know that we didn't get many viewers, but I'm going to tell you this: one of the most enjoyable things is to do this and have people talking to us, asking us questions. I literally get a rush from it. I do. I absolutely love it. I enjoy it. Thank you for coming on, talking to me. Steve, like I said, we need to get together because we definitely need to get something set up. And we're always looking for people to join us on the show. So reach out to us. You can find me on Twitter at Bridge Geekdoms. You can find Colton at White Ruby 53 on Twitter. We have Facebook page. We have Facebook group. We have Instagram. We have a Patreon now. So go find us there. Patreon, if you want to help support us and maybe get a camera that doesn't go out in the middle of it, maybe get Colton a laptop or something like that so he doesn't have to do this on his phone.
Yeah, everything. It's my room. It's such a mess. It's such a mess.
But it's been great. Make sure you jump over to spoilerverse.com. That's where you're going to find all the great content from Spoiler Country, from Misery Point Radio, from Narrative Gunslingers, from Polygon Warriors. Can't forget that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much. I am hoping to get a resurgence of Shooting the Sith going here. I might make it a once a month podcast where I just talk about what's going on in the Star Wars world. If more Star Wars stuff starts coming up, we'll talk more and we'll make it more frequent. But yes, we will definitely be doing more Star Wars with my Shooting the Sith podcast. So don't worry about that. But I think I said everything. Yeah. I think so. Just make sure, find us on all your podcast feeds, whether it's Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. And
don't forget Amazon Music.
Yes, Amazon Music.
And Audible.
I don't know if it's available quite yet, but I know it's going to be.
I submitted.
So definitely find us there. But with that said, thank you so much. Thank you for coming on and watching us. Thank you for saying, I gotta just post this real quick. Amazing show, Robert. Thank you, DC Talk with Extended. Thank you very much. Blessed for sure. All right, everybody. Thanks for coming and watching, and I will talk at you next week.